Well, welcome again to the Nanton Aviation Station. This is our second episode of Phase 2, Wing Rebuild. And we're here today with a friend of ours from Sioux Lookout, Richard Colville.
Richard has been one of our major benefactors to 57 Rescue, supplying us with different articles, drills, clecos, money, things that we really need. And he's down here doing some research and telling you a little bit about himself and how he decided to come down and have a look at what we're doing and what he thinks.
Yes. My basic research is about the 6 Bomber Group from the time they spent in England, in north of England. And this trip I've been down here going through casualty files of some of the aircrew that didn't come home and finding out a little bit more about them, and also doing some research on some of the intelligence reports that were generated by 6 Group. On this trip I have much more stuff at home already, and we're just accumulating to the pile. But today I decided to come over here and take a look and see what the gentlemen are doing with the wing spar, and I'm pretty impressed with removing it from the box frame, and yeah, it's coming along pretty good, I think.
What the research you're doing on 6 Group? What's it for? Are you writing a book or?
Well, I'd like to do that some day down the road, but now I'm just kind of, I guess I would consider myself a hoarder.
Nah.
Just putting all the stuff together and maybe someday putting together a book. Right now I'm helping a guy in Holland. He's writing a book on night fighter claims, so I've been giving him a bit of a hand on some of the times that some of the Canadian aircraft went down, where they went down, and if there's any eyewitness reports, so he can kind of tie his claims together with some of the Canadian losses.
What were some of the stats from 6 Group in terms of losses, and how'd they compare with the rest of Bomber Command?
In the start, it wasn't good. I think it had a lot to do with training. They weren't trained up to par with the RAF types, but at the end they were second to none.
Right. Now, I've often wondered the number of Canadian crew that were in RAF service compared to what were in 6 Group. Do you know the numbers there, generally speaking? Like, how many were embedded in the RAF?
I would say at least 30%.
30%. And then as 6 Group formed up, some of those more senior officers were brought over to 6 Group to take command, I presume?
Yes, but they were training so many Canadians and they had no place to put them. So okay. They automatically, if there was a shortage of crews in, say, 550 Squadron, that's where they went to. Oh,
I see. So they were originally slated for Canadian squadrons, but they couldn't accommodate them, so they went to RAF.
Yeah.
And the RAF were short anyway, so yeah. It helped out. Oh, I thought they went to RAF squadron more as a part of their training and then brought over to 6 Group, but that's just the way it happened. It wasn't engineered that way.
Yeah, it's just it was just supplying demand. Like if
right.
One squadron lost a whole bunch of aircraft, and there was a crew that went through the heavy conversion units, and right. They were ready to go. They just went where they were told, and right. I think near the end, obviously, they wanted them to be in a Canadian group, but when the chips are down, you have to go where you go.
Right. Was there a lot of animosity, many issues, culturally or otherwise, when it came to Commonwealth aircrew in the RAF?
I'm not sure that way, but I know the Canadians were paid more than the RAF type.
Right.
And the Canadians always seemed to share their packages that came from home
right.
with the RAF types, because they obviously, didn't get as much as we did, and there was rationing going on.
Were the Canadians treated like colonials?
I think they were at the start.
At the start.
But I wouldn't say that down the road.
No, they proved themselves to be worthy. Yeah.
A lot of them didn't like the living conditions.
Right.
I talked to a gentleman that flew at a Croft, and there was a train track that ran right behind the station. And the train crews used to throw coal out so the guys could pick them up to, supplement the heat that in their Nissen huts.
Wow,
So
amazing.
it's-
So how do you think that this project links in with Sixth Group? What are the important elements of this project and that history?
Well, I think, like you guys said, this wing will become a Halifax wing, and probably a Halifax bomber in the near future. I can't say when, but it's a start, and I can't think of anything better to see a Halifax and a Lancaster running in that. 4 engines on each.
Yeah. Well, that is one of our design parameters.
I know.
It has to be able to support her own weight. She has to be able to last between 50 and 100 years. She's got to be able to support the weight of running Hercules engines, and she's got to be able to roll. And hopefully, Carl's dream is that both, all three, the Mosquito, the Halifax, and the Lancaster would be able to taxi about at Nanton under their own power.
Well, I certainly hope that's going to happen, because I can't wait for the day.
That'd be great. I hope we're still around.
Well, I feel for you there.
We'll do what we
And
can.
if not, we'll teach somebody else to continue.
There you go. Somebody's got to take the mantle,
Yeah,
as you
they're
say.
going to take the reins and they're just going to continue.
There you go.
It's a
Yeah.
project that has to be finished, and whatever happens is out of our hands, and
That's right.
we'll make sure that it does go forth.
Yeah, we're just a piece of the puzzle, as they say, right? Well,
Correct.
Well, as long as we have somebody down the road that's going to pick up the torch if we stumble.
I was just wondering personally why you started researching Sixth Group.
Well, to tell you the truth, it started off as a hobby. I opened up a book, I can't remember how many years ago, and it was kind of the thing, well, there's a picture of a crew standing there, and you wonder, well, I wonder what happened to those guys, or are they still alive? And someone told me, oh, you can get all that information from the archives. They have all the operational record books there. And that basically opened up the floodgates. It's like, okay, let's look at the ORB for this squadron. Wow, this is pretty great. Let's get them all. Let's go to England. Let's go to Ottawa. And it just hasn't stopped.
You've been bitten, apparently.
Yes, it has been.
Yeah, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, that's right.
But this project here, like, can't see anything nicer than having a Halley. And you guys you started on it, and hopefully it's going to get done.
Yeah.
Well, I
And-
think it will get done. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, time, money, and resources.
And to find all the pieces that you need.
And as you viewers know or don't know, I was involved in NA337. That's what bit me. Scott, I'm going to detract from us for a minute. He's never really given his background, but his father was a pilot on the Phantom of the Ruhr. And if you'd like to say a few words about that.
Sure.
And how you got involved.
Yeah, you grow up not really knowing much about your parents. They really don't, especially airmen didn't really talk about their service. It wasn't until my father passed away that I realized he was DFC. So then I started to dig around, as you did. You start to dig around into the records, and you start to get an idea of the history, and you start to get an idea of the stories. And you become immersed. I just can't get enough of it anymore, or now I just can't get enough. And so my dad did 13 operations on board Lancaster EE-139, Phantom of the Ruhr. And he basically was on 100 Squadron when it formed from 100 to 550 Squadron, and that's when the Phantom was switched over from 100 to 550. So yeah, it's basically the British version of the Memphis Belle. Was until recently the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight was painted as Phantom of the Ruhr, and I think my father would have been so proud. It was one of only I think there was maybe 20, in the neighborhood of 20 aircraft that did over 100 operations. The Phantom was one of those aircraft. Very, very famous aircraft. I didn't know about it till I was much, much older, just till recently, actually, did I find out the history of the Phantom. And apparently, she flew sideways. It had been ridden hard and put away wet, and she was a cold, noisy, real pig to fly, apparently. But Dad loved the aircraft. He was actually a bomb aimer. But he did fly on occasion. He did fly in the pilot seat to take over for the pilot when he was. There was one case where he was ill, and my dad had to take over. And on other occasions, just to get a rest. Our pilot, or Butch Bouchard was his name, he would step aside, and my father would fly from time to time. But it was rare. But no, and he was lucky. You know, I mean, as so many airmen, you know, you're just lucky to get through. I think of the 12 crew, the 12 different crews that were taken from 100 to form 550, my father's crew was the only crew not to have been shot down, killed, or taken prisoner. So those are not good odds, and you know, it's.
Oh, those are pretty amazing odds.
Yeah. It was quite surprising. So, that's my father's story. Well, thank you so much for visiting us today for another episode of the Nanton Aviation Station. I'd like to thank Richard Colville for coming down from Sioux Lookout, and good job with your research. Looking forward to reading your book. Thanks, George, once again. And thank you all for coming, and hope to see you soon again.